Hello everyone. Today we shall discuss the story from Gulmohar Reader 6. The name of the story is Arthur and the Sword. Let us first know about the story in very brief. So, this story is about a young boy who was chosen as the king of Britain. There was a sword which only he could take out from a stone, and according to the mysterious prediction, he became the heir of the kingdom. In this story, we shall know in details how this happened. So, let us first have a reading of the first paragraph. After King Arthur, Pendragon of Britain died, apparently with no son to succeed, a dispute arose in the country about who should be the next king. Every knight in the region wanted to seize the crown for himself. Here, the story starts with the information that King Arthur Pendragon of Britain was no more, and it was believed that he had no son to take over his kingdom. So now, with his death, the kingdom was left with no ruler to rule. This is why people started fighting amongst themselves to take that place and become the new king. The knights were usually the warriors with power and courage. All of them wanted to take advantage of the opportunity. Now let's come to the next paragraph. But King Arthur did in fact have a son whose name was Arthur. No one knew of him, for he had been taken away secretly while he was still a baby by a wise old man called Merlin and left in the care of Sir Ector, a noble and faithful knight. Arthur had grown up thinking that Sir Ector was his father and Sir Kay, his son, was his older brother. So in the second paragraph, it is revealed that contrary to the popular belief and knowledge of the people, King Arthur Pendragon in fact had a son about whom nobody knew of. He was taken away right after his birth and was left in the care of a noble knight named Sir Ector, who already had a son named Sir Kay. So Arthur, who was actually the prince, was brought up by Sir Ector along with Sir Kay as his elder brother. So now let's see what paragraph 3 says. To resolve the dispute, there was raging in the country. The Archbishop, on the advice of Merlin, invited all the lords and knights to London. It was Christmas time, and in the great cathedral a solemn service was held, and prayer was made to God to show some sign of who should be the rightful king of Britain. So here, after the dispute in the country regarding the new king, the Archbishop invited all the knights in the country to London in order to choose the most deserving one to be the next king. So it was Christmas time and a great feast was organized in the church. Here, Archbishop, the word Archbishop means a very highly ranked priest of the church. So he organized the feast and invited all the potential candidates over it. Over that feast, it was prayed to God to show a sign or any way to choose the king. Now let us move to the next paragraphs. When the service was over, there appeared a strange stone in the churchyard. Against the high altar, it was a great white stone, like marble, with a naked sword stuck in the midst of it. The sword had letters of gold written on it, which read, Whosoever pulleth the sword out of this stone, and Anvil is the rightly born king of all England. All the knights who had gathered there wondered at the strange sword and its strange writing. And when the archbishop gave them permission, many of the knights tried to pull the sword from the stone, hoping to be king. But no one could move it even a hair's breadth. So, when the feast and prayer was over, something miraculous happened. A strange white stone appeared in the churchyard, and there was a sword stuck in it. On that sword there was something written in golden letters. It was written on it that whoever would be able to pull out this sword out of the stone, he would be the real king of the country. So now, when this happened, everyone was surprised and took it as a message of God. Everyone present there tried to pull out the sword one by one with Archbishop's permission, but none succeeded. Nobody could even move it out of it. Now let's turn the page and move to paragraph 6 and 7 on page number 60. He is not here, said the Archbishop, who is chosen to be the king, but God will make him known soon. Any man may try his skill at withdrawing the sword at 12th day, but until that day let all be patient, and until then we shall appoint certain knights of pure fame to guard the stone. The Archbishop then arranged that on New Year's Day there should be jousts and a tournament and other fine events, so that the knights and the common people should be kept together till the king should be revealed. So when nobody was able to move the sword out of the stone, the Archbishop declared that none of them deserved to be the king. He also announced that on the 12th day, any man in the country, not only the knights but also other citizens, may also try their hands. He also talked about arranging for protection for the mysterious stone. When the New Year's Day came, competitions and tournaments were held. Jousts were a kind of sports. Okay, basically those were the fights while horse riding. People used to horse ride, and while horse riding they used to fight with a stick. So these sports and all were organized in order to keep the knights and the common man together and find out the deserving king. So now let's see what happens next. And to this tournament came Sir Ector and his son Sir Kay, who had just been knighted, and young Arthur, his adopted son, who was but a boy. When they reached the grounds where the tournament was to be held, Sir Kay found that he had left his sword behind in the castle where they had spent the previous night. He asked young Arthur to fetch it for him. But when Arthur reached the castle, there was no sign to let him in. Then Arthur remembered the sword he had seen in the churchyard. I will go to the churchyard, he said, and take that sword with me. So now, in the tournament, Sir Ector along with both his sons came. He and his elder son, Sir Kay, were very recently given, or rather rewarded, the position of a knight. When they reached to play, Sir Kay realized that he had left his sword while playing the previous night. He asked young Arthur to fetch it for him. As instructed, Arthur went to get the sword for him, but nobody allowed him to enter the castle where Sir Kay Sir Kay's sword was left. When he couldn't get the sword, he decided to go to the church and get the sword he saw in the stone. Now let's see what happens when he goes to the church. So he rode into the deserted churchyard where the stone with the sword stood unguarded. The guarding knights were away at the tournament. Going up to the stone, young Arthur took the great glistening sword by the handle and lightly and deftly he drew it out of the stone. He rode back fast and delivered the sword to Sir Kay. But as soon as Sir Kay saw it, he knew well it was the sword from the stone. He rode swiftly to his father. So now he goes to the church to get the sword. The guards of that stone, they were away for the tournament, so nobody stopped him. He held the sword by its handle and took it out very easily. He was not aware what he did. Okay, he just wanted to take the sword for his brother Sir Kay. When Sir Kay saw the sword, he realized it and he recognized it, and he took it to show it to his father. Now let's see what happens when Sir Ector finds the sword in his son's hands. "Sir," cried Sir Kay, his voice trembling, "surely I, and none other than, am chosen to be the King of England, since in my hand I bear the sword of the stone." On seeing the sword his son carried, Sir Ector turned to him and asked, "Tell me, did you pluck it from the stone?" Sir Kay's face fell, but he answered stoutly, "No, I did not pluck it from the stone. My brother Arthur, who went back to fetch what I had forgotten, brought me the sword." So now Sir Kay boasts very joyfully that the divine sword was in his hands, and he started claiming to be the next king of England. To this, Sir Ector asks himself if he had really plucked the sword out of the stone himself. Sir Kay was a little disappointed with that question, as he didn't pull it himself. However, he told the truth that his brother Arthur did so. Now let's see what happens next. Then Sir Ector turned to Arthur. "Tell me, did you pluck the sword from the stone?" The boy confessed how, having found all the doors in the castle locked, he had hurried to the churchyard and plucked the sword from the stone that rested there. Then Sir Ector became thoughtful. He made them turn about and ride back to the churchyard that lay some distance behind them. There, young Arthur replaced the sword in the stone. My son, draw out the sword," said Sir Ector to Sir Kay. And Sir Kay tried once and twice, his muscles cracking and his face aflame, but he could not withdraw the sword. So now Sir Ector confirms it from Arthur that he pulled out the sword out of the stone or not. Then he tells him the whole story. Arthur tells his father the whole story, that he pulled it out in the absence of the guards. Then Sir Ector asked them to go back to the church and put it back in the same place. Young Arthur again follows his father's instructions and replaces the sword in the stone. Now Sir Ector asked Sir Kay to try to pull it out. He tried again and again, but he could not even move it. Now let's see what happens when he asks Arthur to do the same. However, when Arthur laid his hand upon the sword, it slid from the stone like a sunbeam across a wall, and when he had replaced it, it stuck as fast as before. Then Sir Ector said to the boy, "You were entrusted to me while yet a baby, but your parentage was not made known to me. Now I begin to think that you are of a higher destiny than I thought. Let us travel to the Archbishop and tell him of all these events." So now, uh, after Sir Kay's failure to pull out the sword, Arthur was asked to give it a try. To everyone's surprise, he took it out very easily and replaced it back once again, without any difficulty. At this, Sir Ector was very delighted. He revealed that Arthur was not his real son, but was given under his care when he was a baby. He also said that he doesn't know about his real parents, but he had always believed that he would have a great future. He also says that by pulling out the sword, he has proved that his greatness was bigger than his expectations. They then decided to go to the Archbishop and tell him everything. Let's see in the next paragraphs what happened. Then they went to the Archbishop and told him that the sword had found its master. The Archbishop appointed a day for the trial to be made in the sight of all the people. On that day the princes and the knights came together, and each tried to draw out the sword as before. But as before, none could so much as stir it. Then came Arthur and pulled it easily from its place. The knights and princes were terribly angry that a mere boy, and from nowhere in particular, had beaten them, and they refused to acknowledge him king. They appointed another day for another trial. 3 times they did this, and every time the same thing happened. So they went to the Archbishop and told him everything. He wanted Arthur to pull the sword out in front of all the people so that everyone gets to believe it. Then, as decided, everyone came and gathered. Many of them tried to pull it out again, but failed again. Then finally Arthur did it. When this happened, the knights and the princesses, who all were present there, they became angry. They could not accept the fact that such a young boy could do something that even great knights could not. They refused to accept Arthur as their new king. They asked for doing it again. They happened to try it for 3 times, and every time Arthur was able to pull it out. Now, let's move on to the end of the story. Let's see what happens in the end. At last, at the feast of Pentecost, Arthur again pulled out the sword before all the knights and the common people. Then the people rose, crying with one voice, "Arthur shall be our king. Has not the sword and therefore the voice of God revealed him to us?" So they knelt down before him, offering their loyalty. And so Arthur became king of England, and all gave him allegiance. So, after repeated trials, finally all the people of the country became united and hailed Arthur as their new king. They said that Arthur was chosen by the God himself. They even kneeled down in front of him. From then onwards, Arthur took charge of the kingdom and became the new king of England. So that was all about this story. I hope this video helped you in understanding this story better. Thank you for watching.